All right, everybody, good afternoon. To wrap up our discussion of our division rivals, we're going to take a look at the San Francisco 49ers here, the team that lost the Super Bowl yesterday. And I have some good news here, guys. I think we might be about to get to the end of the 49ers' little run here. I think the window is just about to close. The only thing that might prop it up is that they're getting good quarterback play for basically no money for one more year. And after that, they'll make some kind of decision on Brock Purdy, either keep him for a monster contract or move off of him, try to find another Brock Purdy. That's assuming they don't move off of him now, which is not impossible, by the way. There is some universe where they just decide, you know what, let's go get Kirk Cousins now because Shanahan likes him so much. But yeah, this one, it feels like the peak has passed. I don't think they're going to be better, and they're probably going to be worse going forward. You take a look at it. You take a look at their roster. They have the quarterback thing, which is great for them, right? That has bailed them out hardcore. But you start looking at, excuse me, you start looking at the rest of the team, like just the rest of the offense. Christian McCaffrey, by some miracle, completed the season without having any major injuries, which is beyond shocking for somebody like Christian McCaffrey, and is, I think, now getting to the age where running backs typically start to break down anyway. Christian McCaffrey's probably going to break down faster than the average running back because Carolina overused him so badly. So we're getting near the end with Christian McCaffrey here, and he's on this big contract that would be difficult to move off of. They could if they really wanted to, but then you lose Christian McCaffrey and you replace him with somebody who's nowhere near as good. So danged if you do and danged if you don't. Deebo Samuel, some people are actually talking about trying to move off of him because he gets hurt too much the way that he plays football. His contract's just starting to kick in. Now, he's not old or anything yet. He's still on that second contract, but he's older than the numbers will tell you because of the way he plays football. And there are some Niners fans out there who are trying to figure out how to move off of him. The post-June 1st cut is saving a lot of money. By the way, we'll talk about this more in a second. The Niners need money. Brandon Ayuk is going to enter the last year of his deal on $14 million. You might have to extend him to get that cap hit down a little bit so you can keep him around, but Ayuk's going to want some serious money. I know he didn't put up the greatest numbers, but he's had good seasons and he's clearly a good player. So Ayuk, that's tough. He's one of the guys that you can expect to maybe hang around here because I do think they're going to try to extend him, but that's just more long-term money. George Kittle, I kind of think this is it. I think he's getting post June 1st, or if he doesn't, then I think you've kind of seen the best from George Kittle. He's gotten his ass beat for years now playing that tight end role. It is not easy to play tight end in the NFL, and Kittle's just been getting whipped for a while now physically. I think he's just kind of lost something here, and I don't think he's going to be worth the 22 mil. I could see the Niners try to move off of him this offseason. Again, post June 1st does save a decent amount of money, and they're going to need it. So either they keep Kittle and hope that he's able to maintain a high level of play, knowing that it's not likely going to be a graceful aging period for him because of how he plays. But you can also try to move off of him and get somebody else who's still probably not going to be as good, and then you have to actually go find that player. So all over the place on offense, they've got upcoming problems. Trent Williams is turning 37 on a contract that's really tough to get out of. You can post June 1st that one too, but then you've got a ton of dead money in future years, and then you need to replace Trent Williams, which is not easy. He's still a really good player, but at his age, that might be a decision you have to make. And then what do you do with your offensive line? Your offensive line is not that good outside of Trent Williams, so then you're really going to be down to the very bottom layer here, and at a certain point, even Kyle Shanahan isn't going to be able to scheme his way out of the offensive line problems, so they're going to have real problems up front very soon here. Either they keep Trent Williams on this massive cap hit, or they move off of him, and he probably retires, and they still owe him money, and then they have to replace him. You've got guys like Eric Armstead, who just turned 32. Fred Warner turned 29, so his abilities are going to start to fade a little bit here. They have to, right? He can't do this screaming down the field 40 yards deep, covering wide receiver step for step thing forever now that he's getting older. I mean, once upon a time, Bobby Wagner was able to do that stuff, and Fred Warner's doing it now. Now we know Bobby can't do that no more, and Fred Warner's going to get to that point, and this might be the year. Hargrave, I think, is turning 32, so he's starting to get up there as well, and he can't go anywhere because of his contract. He's locked in for at least another year. Dre Greenlaw tore his Achilles yesterday, by the way, so don't count on him playing another snap of football this year. Juszczyk is getting old. Brendel's getting old. It is a team that is balancing on the edge of a knife here, and they're going to have to make some tough decisions this offseason, and whatever they do, they're either going to be hoping and praying, wishing upon a lucky star that things hold together for one more season, or they're going to be willingly taking a pretty big step back to set up for future runs at this. Like, they still got Bosa, and Bosa's still young. Bosa's really good. He's on a contract where there's no way he's going anywhere, and he's still actually, for the moment, his cap hits are very manageable. So you've got that, and you've got Purdy. Excuse me. But after that, it's tough. Like, Charvarius Ward, his cap hits are starting to get pretty fat. He's a really good player. They need him for sure, but he's starting to get up there in terms of cost. He's starting to get to the point where the cost is basically equivalent to what you're getting out of him. And they've got some young players that might be able to swoop in here and offset some of the losses they're going to sustain. Guys like Drake Jackson could come in and offset, and Eric Armstead fall off a little bit. Maybe some of their young offensive linemen step up, but a lot of their young offensive linemen have been playing for a couple years now, and they don't look that good, so it's not off to a great start. Jair Brown, he's had a good rookie season. That's going to help. I imagine they're going to get Hufanga back. Excuse me, not Hufanga back, but they're going to continue to see developments from Hufanga, but there's no way they're going to be able to replace all this stuff they're probably going to have to lose just to maintain this current roster. So I'm just looking at this roster here on Spotrac. I'm looking at the money, and I kind of feel like the end is near. This felt like the peak. They built a generationally good offense with Purdy, CMC, Ayuk, Debo, Kittle, and Trent Williams. And Shanahan being a mastermind. And, by the way, I know there's some buzzing from Niners fans, again, about Kyle Shanahan, but I'm making this video assuming there's no way they fire him. And if they fire him, then they deserve every bad thing that will happen to them after they do. So, obviously, I'm assuming Shanahan's still going to be there, and that obviously helps with the loss of talent. But I don't think they're going to have a generational offense going forward. By the way, I did say I think they're going to keep Brandon Ayuk, but they may not be able to. They may have to trade him. They may have to just let it ride on that fifth-year option and then let him walk next offseason. There might be some there might be some changes on that level as well. Debo could break down. Kittle already kind of is breaking down. Trent Williams is going to start breaking down soon. So there's no way they're going to be able to keep that generational offense together. And their defense, I mean, I think they can do a little bit better than Steve Wilkes, but here's the thing. You go over to their free agency list, Chase Young, how do they keep him? Chase Young is going to want the bag, especially after the Super Bowl he just had. I thought he played pretty good. So Chase Young is getting the bag. They're losing Randy Gregory for whatever that's worth as well. Javon Kinlaw is a free agent, and he actually played pretty good. Gibson was pretty good for them, although he's getting older. I'm sure they were planning for that to go that way anyway. Like, they're losing some stuff on that side of the ball, too, in terms of their talent. The offense, it's not as bad, but this defense is going to get pillaged just a little bit. So they're going to take a step back in terms of their talent. And even offensively, like John Feliciano, he was playing some snaps for them. He was playing on that offensive line. I saw him in the Super Bowl. He got hurt. Guys on their offense like Jawan Jennings, who almost won Super Bowl MVP yesterday. He's a free agent. Now, it's going to be easy to keep him, don't get me wrong. But the point is, they've got players that they can't really afford because Spotrac has their cap space at less than $600,000. So basically, they have no cap space. And there are things they can do to free up cap space. They can do some restructuring if they really need to. But they've already kind of pushed things pretty far. Like, you can restructure Trent Williams, but then you're really in a bad spot going forward. You can restructure Debo, but then you're in a really bad spot going forward if you're trying to move off of him. A lot of these guys can be restructured and you can save a lot of money, but A lot of them, I mean, most of them really are older players where it would be bad business to restructure. You are asking for some serious pain to restructure these guys. Like one of the guy, it's just one of those things where either you just pray these guys overcome the odds to remain elite players for a couple years, or you just decide that's not a good bet. We'll willingly take a step back. And either way, I feel like the Niners' window is starting to shut here. They have one more year of this ultra cheap quarterback if they decide to stick it out with him. They do have their first round pick, but it's all the way down at 31 in a draft that I don't think has 32 first round caliber players anyway. So they're going to end up either giving up a ton to trade up to try to get one of those blue chippers or just accepting a second round level prospect, which is much more likely. And yeah, I think the worst is over. That's not to say they're going to be bad, but I mean, they did lose Greenlaw yesterday. I don't think Greenlaw's playing football this year, so there's the makeup here of a year after hangover, and this Niners team might not even be that good in 2024. They did have a hangover year after 2019 when they lost in the Super Bowl. This could be a similar thing. So, rejoice. I think the worst is over. There's not a lot this Niners team can do to add on. Like, they're going to have to overextend themselves incredibly far to actually add on talent. And at a certain point, you have to wonder, like, how much talent do you need? How much more can that talent help you? Like, there's a law of diminishing returns. They've already got so much stuff on that defensive line. It's like, you add another great defensive line player. Okay, cool, but how much is it really going to make things better? All right, so that's the Niners. Let me know what you think about the 49ers going into 2024. I'll see you guys later. Go Hawks. More videos coming probably tomorrow. See you guys on Twitch tonight.